Good morning and welcome to the Quiet Altar. So I thought I would come on today and feature a deck I've had in my collection for a long time, and I have never featured it on my channel. And I'm going through a lot of my cards and I'm purging and getting rid of some because I just had too many and they were just sitting there. And this is one of the decks that I have in my collection that I won't be getting rid of. I often tell myself if I had a choice, I would keep all of my Doreen Virtue or Raleigh Valentine cards along with 3 or 4 of my Rider-Waite tarot decks, and then I'd be satisfied with that. But I have so many other decks, and so I got rid of some of the ones that I don't need around. It was just a collection. Like, I've gone through collections of stuff over time, and then it's like, why am I collecting that? Why am I don't know. And then I'll move on to a different kind of collection, and so on and so forth. So anyways, now that's how I'm feeling about my tarot cards and my oracle cards, even though I'm really still big into tarot and oracle. I just needed some space. So there you go. So this deck is called the Archangel Power Tarot Cards by Doreen Virtue and Raleigh Valentine. And I know I've told the story a few times on here. Raleigh Valentine is still publishing these cards with only his name on them as Doreen Virtue around 2017 denounced metaphysical and tarot cards, oracle cards. She denounced her practice and she left and was born again. However, Raleigh Valentine, who was kind of like her shadow, I would look at him as like he was the backup singer who never got enough recognition. And then when she left the scene, I feel like he started gaining the recognition that he deserved. So as I go through the deck, if you think you like it, please support him, because he still does. Like I said, he republished a lot of their decks that he had together with her in his own name. And then he also has his own works. And he has a YouTube page, and I think he's on Facebook. He's on all the social media. And he's published by HayHouse. Now, the ones that are out of publication from Doreen Virtue, there's a lot of fraudulent decks. And the way you can tell it's not fraudulent is if it has the HayHouse insignia on it. And if it's not normal size, like, look at this deck. This is a huge deck of cards. The ones that are fraudulent are normally smaller. They don't always have a guidebook with them. Now, maybe the newer decks that HayHouse are putting out has the QR code and doesn't have a guidebook available. However, I think most of them still will and still do. So let's get into it. Like I said, the deck is really substantial, and so is the book, the guidebook. Look at how many pages it's got in it. Get answers and courage with the Archangel Power Tarot Cards. It's not enough to receive answers. You must need courage, motivation, and empowerment to take decisive steps based on those answers. Now you can receive accurate messages in a gentle way and get the confidence to act upon them. You'll be supported to move forward with the guide and the Archangel Power Cards. You'll be supported to move forward with the positive life changes with the help of the archangels who guide you in the Archangel Power cards. Doreen Virtue and Raleigh Valentine created this companion guidebook for highly sensitive people who need encouragement to put their divine guidance into action. Inside, you'll find step-by-step instructions on how to conduct a trustworthy tarot readings for yourself and others, along with general meanings of the 78 cards in the deck. Yeah, so most of their decks, their angel card decks and their tarot decks, are what I refer to as the softer side of tarot. You know, they don't have the death. They have the death card, but it's called something else. The tarot, the Tower card is referred to as something else. The Fool card is also referred to as something else. And in here, look at this. This is the deck. Isn't it beautiful? In here, let me read this real quick. On a historical note, the major arcana was originally created with the Justice card as the 8th card and the Strength as the 11th card. However, in the early 20th century, Arthur Edward Waite flipped the cards' positions when he created his famous Rider-Waite deck. His reasons for doing so were obscure and disruptive to the flow of the major arcana. That's how Doreen Virtue felt. I don't feel that way. His reason for his reasons for doing so were obscure and disruptive to the flow of the major arcana's spiritual path story. So we've restored them to the original position in the Archangel Power Tarot cards. Now, like I said, I don't believe that the flow was disrupted because I didn't even know this little tidbit of information until I read it in another one of Doreen Virtue's guidebooks. And it had been years since I had started learning tarot, so the flow was never interrupted for me. And it was decades ago that they had done that. I don't even know if anybody is still alive practicing tarot. You know, that was a long time ago. When did she say? When Edward Waite in the early 20th century. So that was a long time ago. So to me, it didn't, but it's just a tidbit of information that I wanted you to know about the deck as we go through it. So the cards are huge. They don't fit in your hand really well. That's why I don't use these as my number one card deck to read for people. I use my smaller, normal size Rider-Waite, and then I'll use the angel cards as backup. Sometimes I'll use an angel card before we start the reading to see what we need to concentrate on. Or I'll pull an angel card after the reading to sum up the reading. Or sometimes I'll do both. But I will tell you, the angel cards always give a profound message before and after the tarot card reading. It'll line up so much that sometimes the people that I'm reading for, they'll start, they'll just burst into tears. And I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes I don't even cry with them. But I try not to do that because, you got to, as the reader, you're supposed to be the strong one. But sometimes it's just so profound, and their stories and the reason they come to you for a reading. Sometimes they've never had a reading before. And yeah, so they are sensitive. A lot of people are very sensitive when it comes to getting a tarot card reading, especially if they've never had one before. And sometimes you can, I don't want to say see things, but things come up that may not have been why they sat in front of you in the first place, but the universe wants to give them a message about that. And they'll even say, that's not the reason I came here. And then as we go through, I'll tell them, well, this is what your your archangels or your spirit guides want you to know today. And then that'll be a source of emotion too. So let's quickly flip through these, or wait, okay, so this is the major arcana. This Ace of Gabrielle are the wands. The Ace of Gabrielle are the wands. I mean, the Gabrielle are the wands. Are wands. Instead of the wands being the wands, Gabrielle is the wands. And then Archangel Raphael, he is the cups. And Archangel Michael, whom I think we all know very well, he is swords. Now, to me, I don't know the biblical story of Archangel Michael. I think he was like the right hand of God or something. I'm not really sure. But to me, Archangel Michael's the most famous one. And I feel like he is the one that I seek out. And I know a lot of people do. But there's also Raphael, Raquel, Gabrielle, Ariel. There's a lot of archangels. Okay, speaking of Ariel is the Pentacles. So you have Pentacles, you have Swords, and you have Cups, and then you have Wands. So I wanted to go over that briefly because sometimes it's difficult to figure out which one's taken taken over, for which element. And so as you can see, she doesn't have the Fool. She don't call it the Fool. She calls it the Leap of Faith. And you can see how beautiful the cards are. There's nothing scary about them. And each card has a different archangel on it. This one has Archangel Metatron. Believe in yourself, listen to your heart, do what gives you joy. And then some of them are the regular Rider-Waite depiction. Well, the picture isn't, but the name of the card is. Oh, and another thing, they never do reverse. They always do upright. The High Priestess. Powerful psychic insights. Reflection and meditation that provides valuable information. Be at peace. Yeah, I always say when I'm doing a reading that you've got to use your intuition, or your intuition is coming into play with the High Priestess. And if it's in reverse, sometimes that means that you're not using your intuition. And then also there's a lot of unseen things. You don't always need to see everything. The Empress, the Emperor, now for some reason they don't want to have they didn't give the Hierophant. This would be the Hierophant in the regular Rider-Waite. They changed the name. I don't know what they think is a negative connotation about the Hierophant. I don't know, but This says, to search for meaning in life, consider an alternative approach. Surround yourself with wise teachers and friends. The meaning of the cards are still very similar. You know, they don't deviate from the meaning much. There's the Lovers. I think that looks like the cover of a romance novel. The Chariot. This one's really beautiful. Justice. Epiphany, which again, I'm not really sure why they changed with this one, because I don't find anything insensitive about the Hermit, but this is normally the Hermit. Joy through spiritual growth, be the light to others. Answers that come through meditation. I mean, it's an older, like, he looks like a older wise guy who lives on a big mountain and is looking down, showing you the way. That's how the Hermit looks in all the other cards, but she's calling it the Epiphany. And then the next one is the Wheel. Which is the Wheel of Fortune. New beginnings, end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness. A Strength card, which is beautiful, and it's the cover of the deck. And then Perspective is the Hanged Man. And let me tell you something about the Hanged Man. One time I was in a group on Facebook, and I made the mistake of calling the Hanged Man the Hangman. Some people who know a lot about tarot cards are what I would call spiritual snobs. And I just don't see how there's any room for that in someone's heart if they are highly spiritual. How can you be a snob? It's the same thing as a Jesus snob. You know what I mean? The Christians who look down upon you if they think you're a sinner and all that. Anyways, if you say the Hangman, no harm done. No harm done. No big deal. Anyways, in this deck, it's the Perspective card. And now she don't want to have the Death card, so she did the opposite and called it Peace. Release the past. There's more enriching future coming. Let go and let God. And the Solutions card, again, I don't know what's wrong with the Temperance, but she's, instead of the Temperance, she's calling it Solutions. Success that comes from objective compromise, self-control, and patience, forgiving and healing energy. It's still a beautiful card. And the Decision card is the Devil. The Decision card is the Devil. This is normally the Devil. She doesn't want anything to do with that. Release yourself from that which holds you back. A need to detox unnecessary worry based on lack of self-confidence. And I would say that was true, but I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg with the Death card. And, you know, they do have a, oh, wait a minute, that's not the Death card. The other one was, this is the Devil. She's not going to have the Devil. This is the Death card. This is the Devil. Yeah, she's not going to have, but like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. But they do have the extended meaning in the book, as with all her cards. And then the Tower, I guess, you know, maybe the Tower is a little scary for people, so they call it the Change Your Life card. A sudden revelation that offers freedom, break free of procrastination, embrace the opportunities that change brings. And I think that's a pretty good rendition. And then the Star is just always as beautiful. The Moon, which I'm even really surprised that she had that, because normally the Moon looks rather depressing, but it's not depressing here. And I don't look at the Moon as being depressing, but maybe she feels like some people might be sensitive to it. And the Sun, which has a unicorn on it, and that's not my favorite mythical creature. And New Beginnings is Judgment. I guess we don't want to judge people, so she just took that off of there. And then the World. And I don't want to get too winded over the deck, because I know sometimes people's attention span doesn't last much longer than 20 minutes. So I'm just going to go through this again and let you know that the wands are Archangel Gabriel. Cups are Archangel Raphael. Swords are the ever-powerful Archangel Michael. And pentacles or coins are Archangel Ariel. And so that is it for the Archangel Power Cards by Doreen Virtue and Raleigh Valentine. And don't forget, you can still find them under Raleigh Valentine's name. They're not very much money. I mean, they're mass produced, so I think they're probably like $30. I don't know how much I even paid for this. I don't think I paid full price for them. I try not to pay full price for tarot cards. I wanted to show you one more thing before I skedaddle. Do people still use that word, skedaddle? Okay, so I'm making a miniature shrine, and I'm going to put it in this box. And what I did was I took from my collection of vintage spiritual items I have. I got all these items when I buy the vintage the vintage prayer cards. Sometimes people just want to get rid of stuff, and they'll just throw everything in there that's related to anything religious. And, you know, you can go online and get them for, I don't know, sometimes they'll sell you like 3 pounds for $80, and then, you know, you'll get a big box and everything, a bunch of stuff will be in it. And this was one of them, the Shield of the Sacred Heart. And then I sewed all this in. I sewed it on there. And then the Blessed Mary, and I kind of put her like in a grotto. It's a shrine. And then this is the box, and I'm not done with it. I'm going to use Crackle for the outside. I'm going to crackle the outside of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here and this in here. And then when you open it, it'll be like this. So you can have it on your altar. And I will be selling this on my in my Etsy store. It's my first shrine. So it's a special shrine if you're interested in it. I think I might sell it for like $78 on there because, like I said, I did hand sew everything in, and it's my first shrine, and it took me a long time to do it, and I don't know when the next time is I'll have time to do another one. And some of the ones that I see on Etsy and even on what's the other platform I've seen them on? Instagram. I've seen them on all the platforms, but a lot of them they're in in these little tin boxes, and they're beautiful, most of them. But some of them, you can tell that they obviously glued it in, you know what I mean? And then they want like $120 for them. But I hand sewed mine, and it's not done yet. It's going to have the hinges put back on and the little clasps to keep the box closed. And then I think once I have the crackling on, because it's going to be, you know, white over the dark, it's going to really pop it. It's going to be beautiful. So I will come back on and just feature that alone after I'm done with it, and that'll be it. And then the next project that I'll be working on is another scrying mirror, and I do plan on starting to sell my scrying mirrors on Etsy. And so if you're interested in stuff like that, please visit my Etsy store. That's where I sell a lot of my tarot and oracle cards that I'm trying to move on from. And then I also sell antique and vintage prayer cards on there. And I sell my own prayer cards on there. And I sell metaphysical and tarot related books, oracle books, and goth. I like gothic stuff, so there's some gothic books on there. I know there's one for sure. There might be the other one. I think I might have sold it, but I like all things like I like fantasy and mystery and mystics and tarot and oracle and gothic Catholic stuff. I don't know how to describe my beliefs, but I guess you might get a hint of it when I'm doing my YouTube videos and when you see my Etsy store, which there's a link in my bio. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really appreciate your support. I've been getting more subscribers, so if you are a subscriber, thank you so much. Please like and share my videos. And if you're watching but you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, because it really means a lot to me, and I appreciate your support. Have a beautiful day. This is the Quiet Altar.